So charge characters. Why is that? Like some people say that's not really an archetype, and I'll just briefly say where that even comes from. In Street Fighter 2, in the very early days, people referred to characters as being either charge, motion, or circle characters. As you can imagine, circle characters is doing 360s and nothing else motion-wise. That's kind of fallen by the wayside pretty quickly, as we usually just call them grapplers or refer to the moves. And motion characters have become so diverse that people quickly didn't refer to people anymore as motion characters, but or usually just distinguish that as not a charge character when someone uses that name. But charge character kind of stuck around, especially as charge characters became more rare. Because in Street Fighter 2, half the cast is charge characters. Later on, that is not the case. It's also kind of interesting because initially charges were introduced with Street Fighter 2. There are no charge motions before Street Fighter 2, but there were motions in different games. But charge motions were kind of invented because they're easy to do on stick, right? So people were like, oh, this is easy. Nowadays, especially because we have a lot of pad players, people have the opposite opinion, and charges have become rarer as a result, I guess. But yeah, in any case, there's a fundamental playstyle differences that goes into playing charge characters, which is kind of what makes up the character archetype, and that's what we'll be talking about today. I thought that would be enough time for Ezreal to make it, but he didn't. But in any case, so I guess we'll still start this off. I'm sure he'll be back soon. So we'll start from the less experienced to the more experienced, and just be like, what's your like impression of charge characters? Like, what are they, and what kind of makes up a charge character, or what's your experience with them, even if it's just fighting them, right? So yeah, Andela unmuted himself because he knows I'm going to ask him, even though he might not have much to say. Andela, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, charge characters, like the usual thing about them is like, I think because the motions are kind of like not necessarily harder but weird and different, they usually have bigger buttons. And some of the charge characters that I know are really annoying because they're zoners, and that's not fun to play against, especially if you don't understand. If you try to play with yourself and you don't really get how the people shoot out that many things, it's kind of weird and not fun.
Yeah, that's certainly like a thing. We'll collect a bit more before we talk about why is that a thing. Ezreal, you want to talk briefly just to say hi, so we know how your mic is?
Hi, does my microphone now work?
Super
Yes.
good.
Yep.
Nice, because it's another one.
That
The others seem
works.
to have actually broke during the last half hour.
Yeah, I see. That sucks. Moving along. Okay. God Kaiser, you actually recently more or less picked up charging a little bit?
Yes, I never was good at charge characters in Street Fighter 2, mostly because I played it on home consoles and never had the luck to actually play the arcade game, or the arcade version of the game. And so I never got really into charge characters, but now in the recent years I got the stick and stuff, and yeah, I tried to pick them up, and it works way better on stick in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, all of the timing stuff is just easy, and I guess it's easier to just do the left-right thing and not hit down or up on accident, because on the pad you have to go along with your whole thumb, right, and it's most of the time just a round blade and a bit wobbly.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's an interesting game because like it's different from motion characters for sure, but it's interesting because once you got kind of into the mindset, it's easier to deal with as well, because you know like why people are crouching and stuff, and what they're gonna do out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Then I guess Vic or me? I guess Vic and then myself, though I guess I'm not really going to add much since I'm moderator, so I'm going to skip myself. Vic, anything particular about charge characters, just in general? I mean, we'll talk about more specific stuff too. You can even talk about specifics if you like.
Yeah, I feel like the basic like stuff are already on the table. Like everyone said something. I don't really have anything to add right now.
No problem. Okay. Karleman.
Yeah, charge characters, they are the best, but what more do you want to hear from me?
I see. Yeah, okay. Then I guess it's time to specify more, and then I'll start with you, and then we'll rotate through. Yeah, I think like something that struck me with charge characters, and I also, even though it's true that I mained Blanca as a kid, that's like one of the first characters I played, and that is a charge character. But my level of charge character play and using his moves was sitting down, crouching, and then rolling, or just not doing charges at all. Like, it was a hard decision for me to just go, I'm doing this now, or that. I never combined that as a kid. Of course, there's some Blanca specific stuff, but I'll skip over that. Like cross up Blanca balls on wake up, but whatever. So what's really hard is actually being able to move, right? Like, you want your charges, but most charge characters only have charges on down and back. Both motions don't really let you move. So, like, level 1 charging, so to speak, is just you see someone sitting there and being like, wow, he's not moving, is he? And just doing their charge maneuvers, and it gets really hard, in my opinion, to do other things, especially because charge characters, like some people hinted at, like Andela said, have good buttons, and they often have a lot of command normals that you can't do if you're charging, right? So kind of the heritage we get from especially Guile, but also other Street Fighter 2 characters. Yeah, so I guess so as to not talk about what charge characters are overall the whole time, I'll just ask like Ezreal.
Yeah.
So you play mostly just charge characters, and I mean, you've said before you only play them because you didn't want to do motions, but you play on keyboard, so that's an additional thing. The best input device to play these characters on. What are like some of the things you like doing when playing charge characters? Can be anything.
All right. Like you completely correctly said, I picked up charge characters because all these motion were pretty weird. When I was a youngster and I was looking at a Z motion like Sagat's knee or Ryu's Shoryuken, I was like, what the hell is this? I can't do that. And that's why I picked them up. And at the beginning, I certainly also had the same problems that you described, like either I'm fighting or I'm charging. But these problems go away pretty soonish, as you start actually playing the game and not just trying to now make a special move or something like that. Because most charges all you flip you in a certain direction, or it's a shot, which can be done from everywhere. So yeah, what I want to talk about charges. Great thing about most charge moves is they displace you in a way. May it be the Blanca's cannonball, Guy's flash kick, dictators, whatever moves. All those are ways to get around. So depending from where you are from the enemy, you can use your charge moves, well, to move around them, to cross them up, or just to evade your enemy. That's something I sometimes miss a little bit from motion characters, which are not super movement heavy. Like some examples I can't really think of. Maybe El Fuerte, whatever that guy is. Yeah, I wouldn't really know. But yeah, that's something in retrospective, if that's a word, what I really liked on charge characters and still do like very much. Because once you get into them, it seems pretty natural how the game develops. And if you pick up a motion character again, like Ryu, and you're like suddenly, oh my god, how do I even get close to my opponent? Do I have to jump? That's not okay. And yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's an interesting point. Like, I mean, there are motion characters that usually have moves that move them around. Like some rushdown characters often have like horizontal moving moves. I mean, Cammy in Street Fighter has her Sparrow, where she just moves forward and that little what's it called, hooligan hop or something?
I don't know.
Yeah, like a jump forward, but like pretty much everybody else just kind of does something and does it right where they are. Yeah, indeed. I guess just to fill a little bit, one can roughly say that like Andela said, there's like this. I think the one charge character sub archetype, if one was to call it, that one sees the most is like the Guile one, the one that sits there. Yeah, sadly. That just fires sonic booms all the fucking time and then flash kicks the shit out of you when you try jumping at them. But it kind of also brings something up with like charge maneuvers. So motion characters kind of have like the advantage of doing motions, right? Like they can just, if you're fast, you can just do them instantly, right? Sorta. Motions still require a certain amount of frames to input, but they're always at your command, seemingly. Whereas if your charge isn't ready, maybe simply because you just got crossed up and you were holding back and now your charge is gone, or if you just didn't do the decision to charge prior to that, right? So whereas Ryo can just walk forward and then decide on whether he wants to do a fireball or a DP. Unless you do it too fast and you're in Street Fighter 4, then you're going to get a DP in both cases. Then yeah, I mean, Guile just can't walk forward and then decide, I think I need a sonic boom right now. That's just not an option. So charge moves are limited in that way. But because of that, in most, unfortunately not all, fighting games, charge moves tend to be really strong. Like, if good recovery, they come out fast, they do good damage. Not necessarily all of these things at once, but they tend to be like, or have really good hitboxes. Like, I mean, look at that anti-air Guile does. That flash kicks way better than Ryu's Shoryuken. If you're anywhere near that, he'll kick you. Like, Ryu can actually miss. Yeah, so charges have this limitation of being charges, but are actually like pretty good attacks. And I guess to make that interesting, we should kind of talk about specific charge characters that we know something about, and it's kind of how their toolset goes together. So Vic, you can of course pick whatever you like or talk about something associated to what I said, but you play Mei, or played Mei a bit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how do you think like playing Mei, she is a charge character, but I mean she has specific, very, very specific tools to being Mei. Like, how does that work out, her game plan, and how do you work charges into that?
I mean, Mei is not really the most interesting charge character per se, because she mainly has like basically two charges. One is like on the dolphin headbutt, and the other one is like a rising on the dolphin headbutt. So it's not really the most interesting. The interesting part to do in Guilty Gear for charges is using charges while still like moving around and applying pressure.
Yeah, like charge partitioning, where you.
I don't think there is charge partition in Guilty Gear Xrd.
I just watched a video on charge partitioning and Guilty Gear Xrd, so in preparation. But yes, like you can do weird stuff like keeping your down back charge while running forward and stuff like that.
That's not partitioning though.
That's not partitioning. My bad.
No.
That's
Yeah, but like charge partition is something that's in Street Fighter 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically you can, if you move a bit forward or do something else, you can grab your charge back from where you let it go before, if you are fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have like any specific stuff, but that's how like some.
Yeah, you mean like charge backwards, then walk slightly forward, and then sonic boom?
Yeah, by example, stuff like that. Though a bit more than that, because it's. I know it's allow, like by example, you're yen to do 2 double tackle in a row.
Yeah.
If you do like enough charge partitioning, so you do one, then you go back quickly to back, and you grab some time of your charge back, something like that. Not really clear because I never really tried it, but I know it's something like that. Because if it's just one step, it's just like if you. No, yeah.
Yeah, just an example.
Just an example.
Yeah. No, I mean that was just an example. Yeah. So yeah, I guess like it's sort of an interesting thing. Like when we're talking about playing charge characters, then they do have like movesets like other characters, but whereas it's not that important, I guess, for a motion character player, or let's say specific example, Shoto character, Shotos, right? They usually have 6-2-3, i.e. like the Dragon Punch, you know? And then you have like specific ways of inputting Dragon Punch with specific input devices, of course, but like just talking in general, it's not that important for people to really understand how to do a 6-2-1, like a cross DP, right? Where you want to get the DP while someone's jumping over your head. So you press forward and then down back, because the down back's going to be, I mean, down back, because that's going to be your down forward, i.e. the 2-1 becomes 2-3 as the character passes over you. And while that's like an interesting technique, it's not really something where one says, oh, this is kind of part of how you play this character. Whereas if you're playing charge characters, and becomes like you start having to understand, where can I place my charges and where can't I place my charges to play even more effectively? And these kinds of techniques like charge buffering, charge partitioning, we'll talk about them at some point, and being able to input certain things during your charges even, that's becomes like, I think, part of the gameplay, right?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Very easy to see in games other than Street Fighter. Because in Street Fighter, it never felt especially terrible to me to be a charge character. It's just a different way of inputting it. Yeah, on high skill, you might notice that Shotos are superior, because in Street Fighter 4 they simply were. But if you look at other fighting games like Hyper Fighters or really fast fighters, then charging suddenly is really an issue, because in the time you've charged, the enemy can jump 3 times over you, and that's where the fun begins. Different games found different answers to this problem.
Yeah. Let's go with that, actually, because there aren't, I mean, fast games tend to be modern games, Vampire is a good exception to that. But like for example, Andele, no? You're like a hyper fighter player, no?
Yes.
And have you tried playing Tentacle Bro? What's his name?
Shumagorov.
Shumagoroth in Marvel?
Not at all. I've seen some videos of him, but that's like about all.
Yeah. Cause that's certainly like a scary thing to do, right? Like having to. I would not recommend anyone to learn charge characters by playing Shumagorov, just because he's in Marvel. It's just very scary to have to charge, but be in a game where there's like potentially four characters just flying around doing stuff at the same time. It's yeah. Sorry, if you had played him, then I would have brought you in your experience like that. So we'll continue in a different way. Is there a particular charge character that you had to fight a lot, where you just had like a very specific experience against, where that was either positive, negative, or strange?
Me now?
Yes.
It's like I haven't really fought her a lot, but I saw it a lot, and I was always scared. And it's Bautista, because first of all, I'm bad against zoning, and her zoning seems super good because you just fire a bunch of lasers, and then you don't stop firing lasers, and there's just always something on the screen and something flying towards you, and that just seems scary because since she like has the zoning bubble, she can just keep on charging. It's kind of hard to pressure her to like fuck up her charges by jumping over her or something. That's what seemed so scary about the character. I'm very happy that I didn't have to fight her a bunch because I'm I don't like zoners.
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll all be maining a game together where we have like a strong zoner and or strong charge character, so you can have that experience.
I'm kind of surprised there isn't one in LT, to be honest.
No charge character, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really think it's I mean, I guess to an extent we now know who's to blame. Asuka 120%. But I mean, the reason why games like Asuka 120% got rid of charge maneuvers is because they came out on home consoles, right? And they wanted just like simple inputs for everyone and a simple button scheme. And it makes sense, unfortunately, to drop charges. That wasn't a joke. To drop charges in for those kinds of games. French Bread's just like only recently put a charge character in one of their games, right? And one of the scariest of all, Batista, the one you were talking about.
Great character, by the way.
Does
Yes.
she? I'm not even sure if she uses charges in cross tag though.
No, not
Because
at all. There are no charges in cross tag battle.
Yeah, because I was about to say I don't think they have charges there, so it's like they took away her being a charge character.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Yeah, I guess.
Melty,
yes, please.
I think Melty doesn't have like any charges also because there is a lot of air movement, and air movement with charges seems tough / not really the same.
Hard it is.
Yeah. Yeah, but Arcana Heart you can fly and charge because the fly is different from like you dashing 6/6, by example, right?
Yeah, correct.
So that help a lot to keep a charge while homing toward your opponent. But in Melty you do have to use like double jump and air dashes, like the normal way. So you would have to drop your charge maybe a bit too much all the time to move around.
Yeah.
At least that's my guess.
Batista has that mechanic where she can do like summon that platform where she can stand on in air. Which helps a lot with charging.
Yeah. Exactly.
It also helps to place her, because she also has button charges, right? For the orbs that you can place and then shoot and slash that makes explosion. And that also helps with that.
That's one of the mechanic I wanted to talk about when I was saying that different games found different answers to the problem of charge characters. And for Bautista, it's a very easy example. They just added charges in double both directions. Like, see, Guile has 2 directions, like back and downwards charges. And once you did your Sonic Boom or your Flash Kick, you have to charge again one of those moves to do it again. Batista has a shot on forward backwards as well as a backwards forward charge, so you can easily and fluidly charge from one thing into the other. In addition, the charge time until it is counted as a charge is very small in Uni Yell, Uni Est, and whatever Under Night in Birth game we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's why she's so damn scary. Now add all the button charges and this platform you talked about, which is, if I could remember correctly, a half circle move, funny wise. So you're very freely to let all your special moves fly. Just imagine a character who's not a charge character shooting in the speed of Batista. That's absolutely scary. And he or she can basically do that.
Yeah. Interestingly, the first game, I think, to have a character that charges like forward back and up down, is like Arcana Heart, where you can, well, like Vic explained, you have like a flight on a button, so that gives you time to charge on other directions. I mean, early Arcana Heart games, you wouldn't use it all the time, but yeah, it's Saki, and Saki is a sort of a rushdown character, like slightly more neutral based, but that's more because she's a charge character, but definitely like in your face. A lot of her charge moves are melee maneuvers, so it's kind of interesting how the next character in line who took that to the next level by making all of her inputs chargeable, including her buttons, was Batista. Yeah.
Saki was Blue Hat Girl, right?
Yes, exactly.
All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
she was awesome.
Yes.
Reminded me a little bit like a 360-degree flying Balrog, but yeah.
Yeah, kinda. With using her feet a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But from the feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's one way to tackle the charge problem. Just give it to every direction, so jumping over you doesn't exactly break the charge, but at worst starts a new one. But there are other ways to get this, and other games who handle it completely differently. Another pretty fast game with a lot of special mechanics, called BlazBlue, for example, also has a charge character who has exactly 2 charges, like Guile, but it's not a problem at all, because he has additional stuff, stance moves, which do not include directions, like more than one.
Mm-hmm.
That's another way of tackling it, giving it a lot of... Yeah, I think you could even compare these stance moves from Kagura with Guile normal...
Command normals, yeah.
Command normals, that's the word I was looking for, exactly. Because in the end, you're having a very simple input device for making something special. Holding a direction and a punch. Could also be a flying fireball, but that would be too cheap for all those console players. Or arcade gamers.
Well, Akuma was kind of,
Akuma can shoot with just one button and a punch?
Oh,
One
no,
button.
excuse me. If that's what you mean, no, I guess nobody does that.
Frank West can.
Yes. Yeah. If he weren't in Marvel, if I saw his character design and didn't know he was from Resident Evil, I'd think he was a charge character, but he's not. He's just evil Resident Evil Spoderman.
Zero has a button charge in Marvel where you load up his buster, right?
True.
That's a one button projectile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, giving them a lot of command normals or this kind of stance system Kagura has is another option. And another one would be, I guess, eliminating the charge time. I can't really give an example to this, but I think I am remembering some kind of special move you guys were talking about, which looks like a charge because it's the same motion, but it doesn't involve charging time.
Yeah. So there's, I guess I'll say that briefly. There's like 2 versions of this. One is indeed what you just said. A brief example is Galen, the werewolf character from Vampire Savior. He has a flash kick, right? But it's a very limited flash kick from what it does. But the input is just down up kick. Like you don't have to charge. and it just comes out immediately. So that's sort of like a fake charge move, is I think what we like to call it around here, because it has the motion but lacks the charge. And the other thing is like kind of more crypto. I don't know what the word right now, but it's like a fake charge character where you have someone who seems to have like charge maneuvers, but they're totally not charges, they're motions. They tend to be variations of charge characters, right? So for example, in Akatsuki Blitzkampf you have Elektrosoldat, who is fairly classic with a flash kick and a fireball, but you also have Adler, who has very different working pseudo flash kicks and pseudo fireballs, right? Like they do something completely different, but he's sort of similar. More recently in Street Fighter V, we've had Charlie Nash, who used to be a real charge character, but now his moves are all motions and indeed work a little different. Like, yeah, his sonic booms aren't on par with what Guile can do. They're still good. His I don't know what he calls his flash kick, but something cutter, I don't know, is, well, nice. It still covers the air above him, but it's not quite as big or fancy or invulnerable, the EX one is though, as Guile's flash kick is. That sort of thing. So yeah, fake charge moves and fake charge characters. So kind of funny. Oh, that's a thing.
Yeah, and the reason I picked up here Adler instead of Elektrosoldat had nothing to do with the charges itself, because I like the normals more, but yeah, that would be a game that didn't exactly find an answer to the charge problem, even though it's pretty classic, but just empowered the specials more, I guess, as the fake here the fake flash kick from Adler is a lot weaker because it doesn't include any invul moves, invul frames.
Yeah.
Which is pretty iconic for a flash kick.
Yeah. So something that we talked about slightly was problems of charge characters and how that's been resolved, and we sort of talked about like stances and such and command normals. So pretty early on, starting with Guile himself, like there are characters that use command normals to move themselves forward. So he has Knee Bazooka. So there are other characters that do that too. I think God Kaiser, you had like some experience in Breaker's Revenge with a character where you started using command normals like that.
Oh yeah, with I don't know, that
Dao Long or
Chinese
something.
kung fu inspired character,
Yeah.
and he has one normal reason, and it's like a high, but you can do it from crouching position, so you don't lose your charge even though you high attack. Right, so you can go like a low mix up, even though you're still just holding down back, and then you can end with like fireball and flash kicks. Or that super, yes, super charge
Yes.
motion. So yeah.
Mhm.
But I mean, I also tend to play very offensive in most games, and so I tend to like jump in and throw charges and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's it's usually good. Like church characters are often seen and sort of correctly, I guess, as like defensive characters, or at the very least like strong at neutral. And I mean, usually they just are. But like once you get it down how to do your charging, and then you can be pretty dangerous up close too. I mean, there's I guess now that we've talked about a little bit with charges in general,
Real quick, and it's like
yes.
just a complete different way to route combos with it, which is also like super interesting. If you come from like just normal motion characters, quote unquote normal motion characters.
Is it though?
Yeah, because like stuff works different.
Yeah, I wondered about that. I talked with Son of Teench about that for a while, and I noticed the difference to how even one plays in a certain example. There was a game which I completely forgot how it was called, and to recover after you've been beaten down, you had to press absolutely goddamn nothing, or you were able to be attacked once you were rolling to a side. And I was completely not able to do it because I was always pressing down back. Whenever at times. When I was jumping, I was pressing down back. When I was lying at the floor, I was pressing down back. And making combos and even charge combos in, for example, Skullgirls wasn't really different to anything else. But that's because I was completely shaped by playing charge characters. I noticed. And even though I play nowadays also some motion characters, it doesn't really feel different to me. I don't do it differently. But that's also because even if I play a motion character, I usually hold down, back, and down.
Yeah. No, what I mean is more like, especially in combo routing, you have stuff like, if you play a motion character, you can just put in the motion wherever, right? Basically. It's like, oh, I want my DP here, so I'm just going to... With charge characters, you always have to, like, have the charge time in mind, so sometimes you can't just throw out your flash kick after one punch. And that's what I mean, like, if you want to incorporate charge stuff, charge specials into your combo, you also have to think about the extra time it takes to, like, you need to get the charge charged.
Yeah, I think I got a good example of that. So Murakumo, unfortunately, is in Akatsuki Blitzkampf his combo games a little limited in diversity due to the way like damage scaling works, but he can get like a lot more damage off of what he does if he can do his charge moves earlier in the combo. But that means having to land with a pre-planned heavy kick. What I mean by that is he needs to jump off the ground, immediately charge during like the air part, like as soon as he lifts off, then land the heavy kick, and that'll give him enough stun time that he can apply simply one normal and then immediately go into flash kick and super flash kick. And that nets him like a way more damage than having to do a bunch of lows or regular normals at least before his charge is ready. But that's like also the thing, like having to prep the charge before you even get to the combo or before you've even hit confirmed, right? So sort of the things that you do as charge characters. I guess another thing that's different with like charge combos and really fun is, I mean, in motion characters, you kind of do things sequentially, you know. Sometimes there are cancels that are so fast where you need to do the quarter circle as you're doing normals. Like I've had that happen to me before in both Mab and in Skullgirls. But normally you can just do one thing after another. But with charge characters you can't. Like charge characters at some point you need to, and here the charge begins, and here the charge ends. So you have to coordinate your left and right hand, and I guess that's also something that can be pretty alien if you're playing like mostly motion characters, but pretty fun once you get it down. Okay, what was I going to say before that? Yeah, I guess like continuing with the experience thing. Let's see. Andela talked about Batista, Godkaiser talked about Dualong, Kalman talked a lot. No, I mean, like, you have the most experience here. We all knew going in that that's how it was going to be. And Vic said May isn't the most interesting charge character. And I guess you haven't really played a lot of other charge characters that long for purposes of charging.
Honda.
You played Honda.
So different.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, because I guess you're not mostly thinking about doing headbutts and landing on people with your ass, right?
No, but like, funnily enough, they both have like a glitch with the chargers. Honda can like option select is command grab with its charge. So like the whole time you are charging, you can also like command grab, which is fun. Because if you're sitting and people like just come to you, you are command grabbing them immediately.
That's great.
Yeah, that's cool. And what's her name? May as like a weird thing is forgot how it works exactly, but if you hit with your dolphin, you can cancel immediately in another move. So if you're good at charges, you can do like dolphin into dolphin immediately, or you can do dolphin into dash again and another move.
Mm-hmm.
Forgot like it was a bug they actually kept in the game because it made her really interesting.
Yeah, makes sense.
Oh.
That sounds like Arc System Works balancing is like, are people having fun with it? Keep it or make it better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess since I didn't really talk about what I did charge character wise, just a little, I guess, with the more Kuma combo. I actually learned playing charge characters. I mean, obviously, I mostly asked Ezreal for advice, right? But I learned that with Murakumo and Akatsuki Blitzcrank, who, if you just look at his charges, he has a flash kick and a sonic boom. But interestingly enough, he has aerial down command normals, which if you only want to charge down in the air and do an aerial normal and not get those command normals, you have to charge diagonals, because otherwise you will get these command normals, and these command normals teleport him. So I had to do stuff like instant up down teleports, or just in the air press down or hold not down but actually a diagonal, because I want to do a regular normal in the air. Learn how to not throw a sonic boom and instead do this this teleport jump forward stuff that he does, where he just kind of hops forward and does an overhead kick, which is a forward command normal. So you need to learn, like, at what point, if I've let go from back, can I now do forward and button without getting a sonic boom? That's kind of like the precision timing then that comes into playing charge characters. I guess, like, I don't know. I guess we've already talked about what happens to people that start playing. I mean, you just hold down back and do nothing. But Mokumo's like a really mobile character, so it was like it really had to gradually evolve that I charged all the time, then charge all the time, but also drop charge and recharge into other directions so that I have command normals. I'm not perfect at that level yet, but like getting anywhere near that was kind of like difficult, but also felt really good. I guess another thing that people underestimate when they're like playing charge characters for the first time is damn, that tires out your hand. Like, I don't know about you guys, but when I started playing more Kumo, I could not play for very long. Like my hand was just like, I can't hold this stick for that long. No. Whereas now I'm like, bring it on. I can do this. Like, my grip strength of my left hand has been increased just from playing charge characters. Yeah. So I don't know if maybe God Kaiser and Vic's experiences were similar. I mean, Kalman, you have a keyboard. I guess you're used to holding buttons, so
Nothing is as taxing as having to play Ryugi in multi-platformers. That's my opinion.
Sure,
I think
but
that's the thing that's tiring me out the most, hand motion wise, and yeah, no, charges are not really that tiring.
I see.
I don't know, I've never had problems. I find it more relaxing than doing motions, to be honest.
Okay. Vic?
Yeah, more or less the same. I guess for the first time, if you're stressed, you can like pull your stick like a bit too much, but it's not tying on my hand at all.
I see. I'm the only one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Twin Tenwai hands and stuff like that are more aggressive on the other hand, the button hand.
Certainly. Like
And doing rock loops is also harder.
yeah. Or difficult to activate mashables, stuff like that. Sure. That's that can be rough in different ways. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I'll talk about some miscellaneous items that we sort of jumped over just to have said them, because I don't think otherwise we'd talk about them. And I'll try to be really brief about it, looking at the time, because we do want to end soon. So yeah, there's a bunch of maneuvers where you can put charges in between. You kind of know that. We talked about like different ways of doing the charts. I guess we did cover everything. Oh, cool. Okay, then I'll call one thing that's bullshit that people have to know. So you can do this on keyboards and hitboxes of certain kinds, legally usable, tournament legally usable ones even. If you have a combination of charges and like motions, so Bison in Street Fighter V, right? So what you can do is like just keep holding the back button, and then like you're holding A on WSAD if you use that as your directions, and then just do SD as your like quarter circle forward, right? And you do a quarter circle forward move, never letting go of back, and you will have frame perfect recharging right after the move, so activates. So that's something you can do. Another thing you can do is kind of hold certain directions while doing other things if you have two direction buttons. So PlayStation pads can do this, and I keep getting the name wrong, the mix box. It's not called the mix box, is it? I think I got that wrong last time too. The cross up, thanks. The cross up is designed to do the same thing as the PlayStation pad, where you have two sets of directional buttons, right? Or rather like a stick and buttons, so you can hold certain buttons while doing directions and just kind of have your sonic booms ready. And well, you still don't get like opposite directions at the same time, but you can definitely hold back on a direction, right, as you would usually, and then just press the forward button and the second forward button and your attack button at the same time to get a sonic boom without letting go of your back charge. Same idea as what I just said with the keyboard. Yeah. Yep. So that's kind of yeah. So the keyboard can do this easily. On pad it's a little harder to do, but people do it. And on the cross up you have like a stick hitbox mishmash device which does this as well. So yeah, just wanted to mention that.
Super game specific, and like it doesn't work in every game, and
it doesn't
people
work in
started
every game.
to like
no wait it
make
works.
walls to
Wait, no.
Work against it?
Yeah, I don't. So this doesn't get too confusing. We're not talking about the ability to press two opposite directions at the same time, and that actually counting as both. But it is faster to just have like it remove that direction and count as neutral. Or to let go of one and activate the other two without having to move across with like directional keys. So yeah, but yes, there's like a lot of technical details that go into that, so let's not cover that ground. I just wanted to
just
mention
want
it,
to
that
mention
it's
that it's like it's specific and people have to look into game systems, like what's
yes,
possible and
yeah,
whatnot.
exactly.
Also, I guess the important part is simply, hey, there are devices which do not make inputs for directions with a giant knob. So maybe there's a possible way to do more at one time. However, that is
Yes.
read by the game itself.
Yeah. If the time hadn't advanced, I would have liked to have talked about what sorts of characters charge characters are, because there's a lot that goes into like the aesthetics and such, but that's not as important anyway, so we're going to drop that. But I do want to wrap up on a small discussion that I think we can do in 5-10 minutes or something, like sort of something that I've been thinking about every now and then when thinking about different characters, like is sort of meta tier listing. Are charge characters good? We'll start with like just the thoughts of those people that have the least experience to those that have the most experience, like we did in the beginning. So if you can't think of anything, it's perfectly fine, right? Andele, do you think like charge characters are overall in the meta of fighting games as a whole? Are they like pretty good, middling, not particularly special, anything like that?
I don't have a lot of the opinion on that because most games I play are like newer, and newer games tend to not even have charge characters at all. Since I don't know, they just don't have them. That's it. And the one thing I saw on Twitter recently though was I forgot who, but someone wrecking tournaments with Guile. So I'm guessing that apparently charge characters are, at least in Street Fighter, pretty good.
Yeah. God Kaiser?
Like, like most of the time, charge characters plays more in the upper parts of tier list. At least in games I play, like I don't know, Nunes, Batista is like top tier. Guy that was always pretty strong. So they're definitely not bad. I mean, it also depends a lot on the input device, because with the keyboard you can get a lot more out of your charge character for sure. Yeah, they're good. I don't know.
Yeah.
Most of the time, there's bad ones are rare.
I suppose. Vic.
It really depends on the game. Like there is no stuff. Like Remy is trash in Street Fighter Third Strike.
Yes, he
So
is.
the guy is top tier in Street Fighter Super Turbo. So you just there is like by the point Street Fighter 4, I don't think there was really a charge character that was really that good. So it just depends on the balancing of the game and the game overall, game mechanics.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking specifically about like this sort of thing, it always, I mean, ultimately everything always depends on the game, right? Like you can have the situation that like a certain archetype has always been bad in like for 10, 15, 20 years, and then a character comes along whose toolset is just really, really menacing, and they also happen to be this sort of character, and then they're good. I mean, that's true. I was just like asking if there's like maybe something to the whole idea of how like charge character movesets are constructed that give them overall a bit more success. Give my own answer and then you can either reply to that if you like, or I'll just end with Ezreal. I think also like charge characters seem to do well overall in games. It seems like the idea of giving characters like powerful options that require them to have them ready at certain times isn't difficult enough to stymie their success in. Stymie is a rare English word, excuse me, to like halt their progress in tournaments, right? Because something you see is that like in early tournaments of a game, usually like very aggressive and easy to play characters or shotos succeed before more difficult sorts of characters start coming along in tournaments, on average. And charge characters don't seem to at least fall into the category of characters that need a while to be successful. I mean, like for Street Fighter V champion was a Guile player. As wait, that can't be right. He wasn't there in the beginning. Right, it was Nash. Damn him. But then it was
Just
Guile.
wanted to correct you.
yeah. But yeah. That sort of thing. And I think like having good tool sets is usually something that helps. So, and they're not like so mentally exhausting to play, because I think that matters in tournaments as well, that they don't succeed on high level play in longer tournament sets and such. So I think they're towards the strong end personally. Yeah. If that makes more sense to you, Vic, or you have something additional to say?
I think it doesn't care. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's like the same as yours.
Neutral. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, that's an answer. And Ezra, if you have an opinion about that. I mean, you said charge characters are the best, but I don't know how committed that was. So.
Yeah, that wasn't really meant tier list wise. I had second Vic that charge characters can be found on any spot on the tier list. Just remember DJ. Yeah, that's the guy with a super strong guy from Street Fighter 2, which was never seen again in any tier list in the upper Elecon. So yeah, you can find charge characters in the lower end as well as the higher end, or even them switching from one to the other.
Yeah,
Think
like
about
DJ,
Kagura in
who
a
was
certain
one of the
patch.
best characters and then one of the worst characters in Street Fighter.
Exactly. Or Kagura in here, BlazBlue, who was super bad, and then patch happened, and now he's super good. At least tier list try to tell me that I still suck with him. But yeah, I guess it's nothing special to say about a character, whether he's charged or not. But I guess you do have more successful charge characters than grapplers overall, maybe. So I guess it's not too bad, but nothing to say, hey, it's a charge character, he's probably good.
Yeah, I mean, like Vic said, right? Like, if we're talking specifically, you're in the situation where you're playing a game, then it's okay. Is he good in this game, though? Right? That's always more important. But I do think, like, yeah, like that example, right? Like, grapplers tend to not win out over other characters, but they have historically. Like, there have been examples of grapplers being higher tier and having tournament success, even though overall they don't seem to. I do think there's more to say about that than that, but yeah, I mean, like, that's why we talk. We have different opinion. Okay. Anyone have any last words?
Nope.
Goodbye.
Good. In that case, yeah. Charge characters, they're awesome. I'll stop the recording now, but you guys don't leave yet. I want to ask you some questions, okay?
All right.
But
All right.